Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I am a sick Giancarlo Navas, your host. And with me today, we got the Kenny G Show. Got Kenny Spence, co-host of Pregame. What's up, Kenny?
What's up, man? What's going on? Got some exciting news that I can't share to the public yet, but I'm just going to say I'm in a great mood.
We love to see it. My news is that I'm negative for COVID, so that's a win. You know, I thought that for sure Mexico was going to be like the Denzel meme. I'm going to leave with something. And, it did get me on the way out. I'm a little sick, but, it's probably my body expelling all the mezcal I had and other things. So, let's get right to it. We have Heat basketball to talk about. And I guess, so I wanted to talk about this yesterday, but we did a post-game show. Dwyane Deadman, the artist formerly known as a mechanic. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to everybody in chat who supports what we do, to Blue Wire, to our YouTube and pod audience. If you're a YouTube watcher, always make sure to leave a comment. I read them all. I may not reply to every single one of them, but I always read them. Sometimes they make me laugh. Sometimes I'm like, damn, that's a good point. So just know that, I'm always checking, seeing what you guys are saying. I even checked last night, see what y'all said about our hip hop conversation. No one said anything. Y'all were talking about basketball. Come on, line up. But just want to show love to that community and all our people out there. But yeah, Kenny, so the artist formerly known as the mechanic, Dwyane Deadman, was signed to the Sixers, in which some Sixers people, some Sixers writers, hit me up and are like, "Hey, so like, how bad is he?"
That being the question is funny.
Yeah. So Brian Torporek of Bleacher Report and Forbes and many other esteemed NBA platforms, friend of the show, hit me up and is like, "Hey, bro, so like, how bad is this?" And I was like, "I'm gonna tell you something. I think Deadman single-handedly sank their season. He was that bad. Like early in the season when they were healthy and Bam was playing well and Jim was playing well. So, Kenny, I gotta be honest with you. That's why the Chiron of the show is Deadman. It's Philly's problem. I cannot wait for that guy Embiid to be plus $1 million and Deadman to be minus $1,000,001.
And so when I saw it happen, I tried to because I always try to see how things can make sense. And so I was thinking, maybe they just let him sit until the playoffs with his fucking heel and all this stuff. But then I remember it's the Sixers and it's Doc Rivers, so that's not going to happen. And so they just have a long list of backup fives and backup bigs in general who just didn't work. They almost killed Al Horford. I don't know if you remember that. They had Al Horford up there looking terrible, and then he went back to Boston and, OKC and then Boston, and kind of redeemed himself and saved his career. Montrezl Harrell, they killed him. He's not really anybody people look at seriously anymore. It's just backup big after backup big that they just go up there to
Andre
die.
Drummond, Paul Reed.
I forgot that happened. Oh man, I forgot the Andre Drummond thing. Yeah, it's just a graveyard for backup bigs, and so
the final resting place for the mechanic.
So I don't really see that working out. We have our jokes and we had our frustrations with him, but I do think he gave the Heat some good stuff early on to where there's enough left for me to want to root for him, but he just went into the worst possible situation as far as the NBA goes. And I just don't know how that's going to – I know how it's going to look, but I kind of wish it wasn't that way.
I think without Simmons, right, going Harden, losing Thibault, you lost a lot of like your better defenders as well over the years. So – and Jimmy included, right? So like all those backup bigs don't even have like, a really good perimeter defender with them anymore to kind of help that. So I think Philly's an interesting rival for Miami. I would say that they're probably the top seed, like a top home seed that I think Miami is most likely to upset.
Yeah, they don't scare me at all.
We haven't played them yet in the regular season, so I think that's an important matchup to kind of look at. I think I think PJ being able to play some five in that series is absolutely huge. So I think that Miami kind of losing that dynamic, that kind of flexibility is going to be like really hurtful for them. I think the way, the lack of size at the wing spot where they would send help at Embiid. I think that size is important, and as that size is not Caleb Martin, that's a problem. Jimmy's going to have to play a lot of 4 in that series, and even then, like, who's your 3 max? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be, you're going to be lacking some size, and you're going to have to make up with it by making Embiid turn the ball over a ton and making sure that you punish those Deadman minutes as hard as you can, as we know that his minutes were punished here as hard as they could.
Yeah, I think it works out because they're so great at forcing turnovers, and Embiid is so turnover prone at times. That helps. PJ Tucker, obviously Doc Rivers isn't using the way Spo did, so he's not much of a threat on the offensive end like he was with the Heat, even though in the playoffs he did struggle. It's just a favorable matchup for the Heat, I think. Even with the size disadvantage, I don't think the Sixers necessarily have. Well, it depends on how Harden plays, and we know how he shows up in the playoffs at times. And so I think we're on the same page as far as us just not being scared of the Sixers at all.
I think, obviously, like, again, a lot to be seen, and I think there's problems presented in that matchup for both teams. And I think it's one of the more interesting kind of I think Cleveland is a team that they can beat as well. I don't think I'd pick them to beat Cleveland. No. I think I might edge Cleveland. They're such a good home team too, I think. And they've shown that they can go in there and win a game, as we've seen, shorthanded as well. So I think Cleveland with the home seed kind of makes it tough, but we'll see. And I don't know. I like the Philly match. So a lot of excited stuff. The other thing I really wanted to get to, speaking of backup centers, Serge Ibaka kind of linked to the Heat a little bit in some rumors. Kenny, I don't know. I think your tweet said it best. We're like 3 years removed from this being exciting.
Yeah.
I listen. Everybody knows how I feel about those Raptor teams where Ibaka won. Honestly, just a tremendous, smart defender. Can shoot the ball, and I think having that pick and pop dynamic is important. He hasn't shot the ball well pretty much since 2021, 2020. Oh, I guess his time in LA, he shot the ball well. But for the Bucks, he really hasn't. Doesn't get enough minutes. It's been a while. I'm not sure how I feel. I mean, he's 33 years old. That's like not that old. I think the Heat is a good kind of environment for him because he's not gonna have to play a ton of minutes. He could just play behind Bam. I think he's for sure going to be better than Deadman in that role. I don't think they need him to be athletic. I think they just need him to be he's a good drop big. I know that he could play up at the level. He could kind of drop back a little bit, kind of give guard some room. I think with the way that Miami plays anyway, if you have him drop and you have Oladipo and you have these other guys kind of harassing the ball handler, you can kind of force turnovers that way. He doesn't have to do as much. And I think on offense, giving Tyler a pick and roll, a pick and pop dynamic is going to be fun and interesting. He hasn't had that since Myers Leonard, and he hasn't played with. I mean, he wasn't even a pick and roll handler.
That was his rookie year,
yeah. Then, so I'm interested to see kind of what they could do with that space. That might help the offense. I think he could play with Bam some as well. It depends on how good his shooting is, but I think non-Jimmy lineups, I think you could put like him and Bam to kind of beef up your front court a little bit and give yourself a different look. I think against the Celtics too, kind of when they play Williams and Horford together, I think that's a nice look that you can kind of add. I don't really like it against the Bucks. I think that's kind of, I think Giannis is just a problem and you can't go two bigs. He's just too fast for those kinds of lineups. And I think you're better off switching and helping and forcing him to do other things. But that's kind of where I'm at with that, Kenny. Shades 50's asking, by the way, I just want to, for everybody in chat that just got here, just hopped on, who we talking about? Serge Ibaka linked to the Heat, kind of talking through what that might look like.
Yeah, and so at first I didn't really necessarily see the point, but now I can really be convinced on it just off the simple fact of expectations. I don't think any buyout guy is taking you from second round next to championship. And so I think that's a huge thing as far as Serge Ibaka goes. And so I think just the little things he brings, another veteran, having that veteran presence, that matters. Being mobile on defense as a big in a non-Bam minutes, and just understanding that Bam's not going to play he's not going to be on a bench a ton of the playoffs anyway, unless he's in foul trouble. So I think just having having Serge Ibaka there is kind of a break glass in case of emergency big. That's good enough for me. The defense and the IQ are still there on that end. The shooting has been inconsistent, but it's been inconsistent his whole career. And we don't need necessarily 40%, 42% from three. It's just kind of be able to knock it down when you have it. And he still has that ability. And so his numbers the last few years he hasn't played a ton the last couple of years. His numbers haven't necessarily looked amazing, but I do think with what the Heat need, which is front court depth and what their options are, I think he may actually end up being the best option.
You're right. He's a streaky kind of inconsistent shooter. He's had like, it's not like other guys that like have a decline. He's just like up and down all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the way that Miami does generate good looks. I think I like him too, Kenny, as a handoff guy, and they use him some in Toronto. Yeah. He functions really well there, kind of like how Kelly did, I think, without the passing.
Mm-hmm.
Although he has some of that ball skill for passing. I think Kelly had a little more zip, a little more kind of, you know what I mean, kind of downhill, like herky jerky kind of stuff. But I think he can help Duncan and Max. I think Tyler too. I think I'm really intrigued with him with Tyler more than anything. I think that kind of giving a guy like him a pretty versatile offensive tool. I think it's interesting. Again, I wouldn't expect a ton. He's 33 years old, has only played 16 games this season, started none of them, 11 and a half minutes a game. Kind of looking at his fouls, not a ton. I mean, 1.4 fouls per 11 minutes is probably not the best. Gives you a real shot blocker too. I think if you can get some lift out of him, so he's intriguing. I mean, he's the one guy that I'm like, you know what, I kind of like that. I think he's a good third center, and I think if you don't want to convert Orlando Robinson, which I would, tricky. And it also depends how they feel about Yurt. I think if they don't believe in Yurt, I think for sure it's a move that I don't think they should have 4 centers. I do think that's a little bit. Right. A little bit of waste of a roster space. Well, 5 really if you count UD because he doesn't play power forward anymore. So it's kind of funny to go from like no centers to 5. But yeah, so I think that's interesting. And I think this kind of stretch right now shows that they need some guard help until Kyle gets back. A bunch of guys hurt. So
yeah. And so real quick, Sam K 5310 asks thoughts on Stanley Johnson. I would like it. I think I will welcome that. As somebody who can play some 4, he's not the 6'10", 6'11" guy a lot of people are looking for, but he is strong as hell. He has the defensive IQ. You can switch him. He's strong enough to hold his own in the post if he gets stuck down there. And so I would enjoy that. Offense, I honestly will be honest, I don't really know too much about his offense, but
for some reason he's having a good 3-point shooting season, 45%. On 1.5 attempts, but
and he did some great stuff for the Lakers last year. I'm actually not sure why the Lakers didn't bring him back. He played so well for them, and so I'm definitely open to Stanley Johnson. He's actually probably my favorite now instead of Ibaka.
Now he's only 26, which I believe he's young. I believe he's younger than like Max and Duncan. So sometimes guys like these take a bit to kind of stick. Yeah, he's obviously a high draft pick. Highly touted prospect. Can play. I think they just need wing help. So I'd be interested. He's a project though. I mean, I don't know. It's very, I don't know how I feel. I think the upside is obviously like, wow, we get a shooter at the 3 or the 4. Like that's fucking huge. And he can play defense. Like, I don't think his defense has ever been the question. Spo does like more kind of versatile offensive players that can handle a little bit like Max. I think Max over Duncan is kind of the big, they like more guys with more stuff in their toolbox. So that's an interesting one. Terrence Ross is a guy that I like. I know that he cleared waivers today. I'd be surprised if they can get him, but I'm trying to pull up. I know that Keith Smith.
I think he had some other team he was going to. I just forgot what team it is.
Chicago, was it?
That would be insane.
I don't remember. Well, in the Westbrook, I know is going to show. Okay, so Keith Smith today tweeted, following players cleared waivers today on our free agents: Patrick Beverley, Danny Green, Reggie Jackson, Stanley Johnson, Terrence Ross, John Wall, in addition to Chris Silva in his 10-day contract with the Mavericks.
Shout out to Chris Silva.
Yeah. Oh, Ross is going to Phoenix?
Yeah, it is Phoenix. Yeah, it is Phoenix.
Well, I missed that. Well, I've been sick today, so I get a pass on that. So Zacho Miami says he was drafted, so Spo probably won't even play him. Well, I mean, Spo famously didn't play Beasley late in games, or he played UD over him, and that was a huge controversy. So it all goes back to the top. So that's kind of where we are with the bad guys. I think probably. I wonder if it'll materialize after All-Star break, after All-Star weekend, or before. But we'll see. Well, speaking of All-Star weekend as well, Tyler Herro gonna be in 3-point shootout. First time, I believe. First time for Tyler. Duncan had gone it. Duncan really blew the sweep for Miami.
Man,
when Bam won the skill, DJJ won the dunk, and Duncan fucking fumbled. Listen, the Heat have a long history of 3-point shootout kings. Daquan Cook, come on. Jason Capono,
Heat legend, Jason Capono.
There's another one I'm missing that was more recent than Daquan Cook, I think. Am I wrong? Chat, help me out here.
I do not remember.
Daquan Cook's a name, though.
Oh, yeah. I used to love that fucking dude, man. Like, I didn't really understand too much about the X's and O's, what guys could or couldn't do. I was still a teenager at the time, but I used to fucking love that guy, man.
Oh, James Jones was it. That was it. James Jones.
Oh, yeah. He didn't win, though, right? No.
Yeah, he won.
Oh, he did win. Yeah.
James Jones, man, fucking great shooter he's another guy that like didn't play a lot of important games because Spo didn't like that he did do other things other than shoot. Remember we were screaming for Spo to play him next to LeBron. We're like, play James Jones.
Yeah, it's crazy. If Spo would have allowed that and just had that space out, and I don't know what the lineup would have been.
It was a Maverick series specifically.
Yeah, but just having like prime LeBron out there, that would have helped LeBron so much because I understand LeBron was young. He was 25, I think, but like a zone shouldn't have just like killed the best player in the world like that. I feel like having that extra shootout there would have helped, but hey, can't cry for spilled milk now.
Absolutely. That's kind of where I'm excited that they get something. So I know that DeMar DeRozan is injured, has some sort of knee. Is it a knee strain or a hamstring or some sort of something not well? And he's gonna miss the All-Star game. I don't know if Durant's gonna play, but there's gonna be some spots open.
Yeah,
I think Jimmy and Harden were the first two cuts. I think Jimmy probably told those people, "I ain't gonna be there," and is on vacation in Lake Mexico or something. Jimmy's following my footsteps.
Yeah, and I don't want Jimmy to go.
I want Jimmy to get the honor because I and everybody makes fun of me for saying this. All-Star appearances matter for a Hall of Fame candidacy.
Yeah,
and I think
but it does.
It does. And I think that All NBA is really hard and sometimes weird shit happens. I don't think it shouldn't count, Kenny. I think like being an All-Star is an important honor. I think it says that you are one of the best players that season in the league. And I think that matters. And if you're a 7-time All-Star like Joe Johnson or something, we can make fun of Joe Johnson's career, but that guy was one of the best players in his conference 7 times in a career that's usually 14 years or something. I think that's important. And I think Jimmy deserves it. Yeah,
you know what? So you are right. It should matter, but the voting system itself should change, I think.
I think the fans should vote. I don't know. I don't really know how I change it. The players don't do a good job either, and I just hate like letting the media do everything. And the coaches I hear just give shit to like their fucking assistants and ballots and stuff. So I don't know.
I don't know how to fix it, but
I hope if they ask Jimmy and he declines, they give him the honor anyway. Because like it would just suck if like Brunson and Harden go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Jimmy just historically doesn't really care about the game anyway.
Can you decline? Can you even do that? Could you tell your boss I'm not going?
No, it's like if they get selected, they're obligated to at least be there. But I think he sat out that one All-Star game. He just refused to go into the game. We saw the interview. He wasn't mad. He wasn't selected. And just as a Heat fan, I want to see Jimmy just get his rest. He clearly wants it and needs it. I want him to just go ahead and get his vacation.
his game isn't even for the All-Star game. You know what I mean? I think Duncan, I'm not even joking. I think Duncan would be more fun in an All-Star game. It'd be like that year that Kyle Korver made it.
Yeah, just launch a bunch of threes. It's perfect.
It's just funny. It's just weird. And you know what's funny is Kyle's game wasn't for the All-Star game either, but he had that one year where he was just being a dickhead and being a grifter, and it was kind of
taking
funny.
Charges and
he was like too try hard, and it was kind of funny. Jimmy won't do that. Jimmy's just Jimmy.
But you know what? Kyle's game was perfect for that game because that was the first. That was the probably only
the Elo one.
Was really competitive.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is for Jimmy, but I hope he gets the honor because I do think he deserves it. But I know that Ira said Tyler has an outside chance. I don't think so. As good as
Jimmy before Tyler, I think
Jimmy, Harden, and Brunson have better arguments than Tyler.
Yeah,
partly because of health. And
I will say, if Tyler was selected, it wouldn't blow me away and shock me really. But I think with the way Jalen Brunson's been playing, you kind of just have to get him in there. You don't want to hear that, but
I think Jimmy and Harden are the first two that should. I think those are the first two cuts. I think those are the guys that you get in if Durant and DeMar can't play, and then from that point on, whatever happens. I guess Brunson.
Yeah. Well, I put Brunson over Harden. I think Brunson's averaging like 37 and 6 over the past month and something crazy like that. I don't know.
Harden's impact metrics have been through the roof, and I think he deserves it. And he's been playing a lot better as of late.
Yeah,
it kind of adds to the fun aspect of that Sixer Heat series. So last thing I wanted to get to today, because I don't know, I was thinking about Jimmy today, Kenny. And I asked a question on my Twitter account, and I said, you can answer. We don't have to get too far into it, but I said, has Jimmy done enough to get his number retired by Miami already? Like if tomorrow he called it quits.
I use Shaq. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I use Shaq as a benchmark because they won the championship, but Shaq had he had one great season, one great playoff, another really good season, and then he kind of fell off a cliff in the playoffs. And then he just kind of never recovered from that. And so him having his jersey tie, I understand he's Shaquille O'Neal and how important he was to Dwyane's career and all that stuff. But I think if Shaq's number can be retired, then there's no real reason Jimmy's number can't be retired. But we'll see. I think the Heat do have a rule where if you don't win it, well, that's not even true because Tim Hardaway didn't win the championship.
That's what I'm saying. So like Timmy makes it complicated because I was like, like they don't do a video tribute for somebody unless they won a title.
Yeah. But at the same time, Tim Hardaway, I understand a little more because of where the Heat were at the time. Pat Riley had just taken over. I think they may have made one playoff or something. They were a laughingstock early on, and then he got Zoe, he got Tim, and then they were contenders for the next, I think it was 4 years. And then that kind of built the team's reputation, and then obviously they have the years after Tim and Lonzo gets sick, and then Wade comes. But I think Tim Hardaway is just so pivotal to what the Heat organization became that you have to retire his number. Shaq, he was important for a moment, but I think Tim played such a huge part in changing the trajectory of the organization altogether. His number had to be retired.
You know that they built the 400 section because of Shaq.
Didn't know that.
Like when he came here, when I was in high school, we had from engineering class, we had a field trip to the AAA, and they told us the people that were working there were like, yeah, they had to build this when Shaq came because we needed increased capacity. Like that's the kind of shit that guy did to your franchise. Which it's funny because I had another tweet on the Heatbeat account where I asked who is the most important of these Heat players. Which of these Heat players is the most important to the franchise's history? And I had Chris Bosh, Jimmy Butler, Shaq, and Tim Hardaway. And Shaquille O'Neal is leading with 37.8%. Chris Bosh in second, Jimmy in third, Tim Hardaway with a very distant fourth.
Yeah. So earlier today, I did say Tim Hardaway because of the reasons I just mentioned, but I do think I'm kind of not giving Shaq enough credit for bringing. Because obviously, Pat won a lot of championships in the 80s with the Lakers. he got pretty close with the Knicks in the 90s. But I think Shaq coming fresh off of his Lakers stint with that championship experience and mentality and bringing it to Miami and just his presence alone making it like, okay, we have to win a championship because Shaq is here. And also deferring to Dwyane Wade when Dwyane Wade was just coming off of his rookie year where he was a very good rookie. I'm not going to downplay his rookie year, but now I think more about it, Shaq is definitely a lot more important to the franchise than and a lot of people give him credit for. So I do think I still say maybe Tim for the reason I said before, but if you say Shaq, I wouldn't argue against it.
I think Shaq, man, for everything I said, and he made them a big time franchise. I think for sure Dwyane, Alonzo Mourning, and LeBron are 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to talk about UD's place in that because I don't, and that is something that I don't even want to touch today because I don't want to say something that the fans are going to hate me. And Kenny, we talked about this pre-show. I think that Dwyane and Udonis should have a joint statue outside of the arena. Yeah. I think it should be, and I'm not even joking, I think it should be Wade rejecting a Haslam screen. I think that would be like the most perfect. I mean, those two guys are tied to the hip. They were at every important juncture together for this franchise. Udonis hit the shot that Dwyane gave him to get his triple-double. Udonis was here when Dwyane was drafted, when Dwyane left, when Dwyane came back, when Dwyane retired, when Dwyane became champions. He did it next to Riley. He did it next to Zoe, Shaq, Wade, LeBron, Jimmy, every great that has come through this franchise, pretty much except for Timmy and DJ Ronnie Cycling. I don't think he didn't play with Glenn Rice, but UD. But regardless. Like that guy, I don't know where to talk about him in terms of like most important franchise players. So let's put a bookmark on that. But I think for sure, Dwyane, LeBron, and Zoe are the top 3. For sure. Right?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And then if we're talking, probably Riley is the 4th. Like if we're talking figures, not to do Mount Rushmore talk, but I think it's like something like that. And then we can move on. But I just thought it was fun and interesting. And apparently Karl Malone is now an all-star judge. And I don't know why the league just doesn't.
Why is he not in jail?
I don't. What they do with that guy, Kenny, I don't understand why they don't. Why do they do this?
Especially in this era where like somebody could dig up your tweets from 13 years ago and you have to go on an apology tour. And this dude, like, I don't even want to repeat what he did, but for him to just like kind of skate on that is insane to me.
Hodgepodge Hoops tweets out, "Do they not know that we know?"
Like I understand. I will.
Are they crazy?
Like, I think it's pretty undeniable. Yes, Karl Malone is one of the best NBA players to ever touch a basketball. But the thing he did. It's just like it shouldn't get swept under the rug as much as it does by the league.
It's just they're just pretending. I'm sorry, the replies on this tweet are so fucking funny. I just can't. I can't. Twitter's crazy. It's that meme and it's like that's fucking hilarious and that's fucking horrible and you don't know which to pick. That's just fucking hell, bro. So all this to kind of bring us to the end of the show. Drew Star said 400 level was always there. These are for general admission during the playoffs before Shaq came. Maybe I'm misremembering. They definitely told us something about that they had built something for Shaq. I'll do some research. I'll make some calls because I remember being on my 10th grade field trip. Was it 10th grade? Might have been was that my senior year? Oh my God, it was my senior year. They played the Magic, and Beasley missed a shot to win the game.
You got a field trip to a game?
Yeah, we got a field trip. We got a tour of the arena, saw the trophies, saw the game. It was fun. We went as a class. It was pretty awesome. Cool, yeah, I think we lost. But, I mean, listen, they played the Dwight Howard Magic, and that wasn't a bad game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that was a division league. That was a contender that year.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. Cardilliana just seen the replies to Karl Malone. There's one that it's judges holding up a 10 for dunks and Karl Malone holding up a different number. I'll let you guys fill in the blanks. So I was just thinking a lot about legacy talk. I was thinking about legacy and where kind of Jimmy fits in to the franchise's history, because I think, I think he's just spectacular and incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of started with like the All-Star conversation, kind of me thinking like his Hall of Fame candidacy and all that. And then it got me thinking of like most iconic Heat pictures. Because like, I think Jimmy, and we're going to get to go through some. Like that Jimmy picture right here that I have up on the screen, Jimmy hunched over at, in the bubble after what is one of the, Kenny, I think it's genuinely like a top 5 individual performance by a Heat player in history.
Yeah. I don't think there's an argument against that.
What he did down every player that he had, and he went toe to toe with LeBron and won. And like you could, and Jimmy has a game where you feel how taxing it is. Everything he does looks exhausting. He literally could not sit, Kenny, because he had to play offense. He had to do everything on offense: score, create, pass, set up offense, rebound. And on defense, he had to do everything too, from guarding everybody from AD to LeBron to KCP. Whatever they needed, he did. And he did everything. And that picture is just like, bro, what we all felt. And Kenny, I don't know if you remember, all he did was try to get to the rim. He was like, I have to get to the basket. I have no legs for a jump shot. I just need to get fouled. And I don't remember if he got to the basket and got fouled. And he literally, that's what happened after the call happened. He gets the foul and he just leans over. And I'm like, boy, I won't even blame him if he misses the free throws.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, the whole game plan, once Bam was injured and Goran couldn't go, I think the whole thing was just stick Duncan in the strong side corner, give the ball to Jimmy, and just see what happens. And Jimmy made it happen
with the screener, whoever had legs.
And Jimmy just made it. And this wasn't even. He did this like 3 times that series.
He did. This was game 5 though. This was the one that was like do or die, and that was the day. That was the game where he's like kind of going back and forth. He's like, I don't know. I feel good about today. Oh,
and if you remember too, and it's funny, like we're talking about this now. This series and the media coverage around it was when I got so frustrated. I decided I needed to cover the NBA. Because if you remember before this game, the way the media was acting about LeBron and the Lakers being about to win another championship, and it was gross. And so for him to come out and shut those people up for a few days with this type of performance, man, like and I feel like if the Heat win this series, this is probably the most iconic picture in Heat history.
If they win that series, I don't even know where we put Jimmy. That play. I mean, this is the picture. The moment for me was, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. The moment where I looked at, I forever changed my view of Jimmy Butler was he was going at Giannis one-on-one and he scores over him and he looks into whatever the abyss of what was in the bubble. And he said, he can't fucking guard me. I was like, bro, you just did that to the MVP and the defensive player of the year. And you were right. And I was like, the ball's on this motherfucker. And to do that in that moment.
And this is the part I don't want to like leave out either. This is also Jimmy's first year in Miami.
Yes.
And so like he's winning us over throughout the year already. Actually, there's a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that frustrated people throughout the year, like him putting up for threes during the season for game winners and like breaking them and shit. But for him to do this in his first year with the Heat, and a lot of people, and myself included, to be honest, we knew Jimmy was really good. We knew he was a multiple-time All-Star. But to this level, we didn't really know he could get to. And so for him to show us this on multiple nights in that series was just incredible to witness.
You know what this becomes, Kenny? This becomes Kawhi's shot against the Sixers.
Yeah.
And I think at the time it was a good analog because those guys both had only been there for one season. And it was just this magical kind of moment in time that was just like it was forever etched, right? Obviously Kawhi won, but I don't know. To me, this is one of the most iconic Heat pictures. The next one is Dwyane at the scores table. This is my house. The one-legged game winner steal over the Bulls. The L Heat jersey. the MV3 season, the greatest player that I've ever seen, the man who walks on water. Kenny, does anybody walk on water more than Dwyane in this city?
No, not even close.
Not like you know, bro. Like there's nobody like Dwyane in this city. Like not Khaled. I don't even think Pitbull. I don't think people in this city love Pitbull the way they love Dwyane. And even though Pitbull's more famous.
Yeah, Dwyane Wade, he transcended basketball. He transcended sports in general. And I think just until he's 100 and however what years old, it's just he is going to be the man in Miami forever. He left. He went to LA. His wife is an actress. Obviously, he's going to do that. But makes no difference. He is the face of Miami. And it's interesting because Miami is not even a basketball city. But that's a testament to what he's done.
He made it one, Kenny.
Yeah. And by the way, this isn't necessarily about D Wade. I've always wanted to ask this question. How condescending is the L Heat jersey for Hispanic people?
I like it.
Is it? Okay.
I like it.
I figured it was like, all right, the NBA relax, but it's not my place.
No, I like it. I like it. I mean, they get it right, like Los Lakers, right? Like they get the grammar right. But yeah, I mean, to me, this one's a no-brainer. If Dwyane doesn't get the statue with UD or something, I think most likely this is going to be the statue. I think it's going to be him at the score table. This is because I mean, it's literally this is his house. That building is his house.
Yeah.
Forever, a forever man, as Riley says, a lifer, whatever you want to call it. That's what that guy is.
Yeah, and this right here,
so this next picture.
Yeah,
we got the lob, the D Wade to LeBron lob against the Bucks, which by the way, that is a very empty upper deck. My favorite part of the picture that we got shit on for attendance for years, and that's a fucking empty upper deck for the hottest show in the NBA. But Kenny, I mean, what could be said? Maybe the most badass moment of the Big Three era: the Dwyane bounce pass to LeBron, no look, Dwyane arms out, LeBron dunking with full fucking force. It was this really emblematic snapshot of what everyone thought was the best duo in the history of the league. The two top 5, maybe top 3 players. Dan Le Batard famously said about LeBron, he's the best player in the world, and he might not even be the best player on his own team. That is what this was. They were rock stars. They changed the sport. Everybody mimicked after. I don't want to hear everybody from that moment on. Everyone just figured out how to team up, how to do things. The whole Big Three stuff. It wasn't the Celtics and those trades. This was about players, and this was they just changed everything. This picture to me, man, it was just like it was the full force of their talents on display.
Yeah, and for Heat fans ourselves, it's the perfect snapshot to what that team was, because sometimes when the games from that era come on, I watch them, and the way they used to just destroy and dominate teams on the defensive end, just get out in transition, and it was over. This is just like the perfect snapshot of that era. I wish Bosh was in the picture somewhere so we could get the full thing, but this is for sure not only the most iconic.
This was bigger than Chris.
Yeah, not only the most iconic picture in Heat history. I think. Well, no, Jordan shot against the Jazz, the most iconic in NBA history, but this is up there. It has to be.
Oh, I think for sure. And I think the other part about this is that this is very memed, which kind of helps its longevity. It's on its own. It's an amazing photo.
Yeah, because this was a regular season game.
It's a regular season game with 8:37 left in the second quarter. Against the fucking Brandon Jennings Bucks and 6. The Brandon Jennings Bucks. Bucks and 6 is hilarious. All-time moment. We all remember where we were. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Next one I got here is the LeBron Game 6 look. I don't know that. Listen, what else has to be said? We all know when you say the LeBron look, when you say Game 6 LeBron, you think of this picture. If you're on the podcast, you're picturing it right now. Season on the line, blueprint on the line. Really, and not to hyperbolize and over dramatize this. The history of the NBA was at a crossroad here in this game. Riley has even said if they lose, they probably trade Chris Bosh. and they see what there was so much on the line in this game. The league as we know it today would not exist. This game is just such a it's truly a fork in the road for the league. And it's maybe the game's greatest player having what is his masterpiece against his biggest rival, the most historic team in the history of the sport, proven champions, three or four Hall of Famers, however, probably three. There's no two ways about it. You know the look, you know the picture. It's LeBron. It's LeBron fucking James. It's still to this day probably the best game he's ever played, Kenny. What more can we say?
And I don't even have much to add to this picture aside from I don't want to leave out the context of this, just the culmination of them going against the team that was the hump both him and D Wade could not get over, and them having them back against the wall again. If they lose this game, it's over with. And for him to just take it upon himself.
This was a tiebreaker for the Heat because they were 1-1 in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And it's just and when you saw that look, you knew what was about to happen. And from what I remember, somebody on either him or somebody on the team said he didn't speak to anybody when in the locker room. It was just all business. And I gotta rewatch that game, man. I gotta find and rewatch that game.
Kenny, you should rewatch that playoff run because if you remember, I think the Bucks was the first round series. I don't remember. It was either the Bucks or the Knicks. I don't remember. And then they play that Pacer team. Bosh goes down. Dwyane is lost at sea. And I think it's game 3 or game 4 where they start off bad. And I'm like, oh God, it's over. Right. So not only this game came off the heels of that Pacer series where it wasn't just like, oh, we're going to lose. And it was like, this is going to be embarrassing, bro.
Yeah.
Losing to the Pacers. And Dwyane was fighting with Spo on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where Dwyane famously said to Spo, you know, I fucking made you, I will fucking end you. Right? And they figured it out. And Dwyane had a 40-point explosion, and LeBron had some of the best games of his career. And then they came up against Boston, and they were up. Don't you remember the LeBron grabbing the ball, laughing at KG or Rondo? I forget who it was. And then that overtime game, it goes sideways. They lose a home game, and all of a sudden we're here in game 6, and there's not much more to say.
Yeah, man. I miss this era, man. That was such an amazing fucking time. Not only just as far as the Heat being this dominant team, but just being so hated by everybody else, and there wasn't shit that teams could do about it for the most part. I miss that era, man.
Don't we all? All right, so we got a few more. The Bam block on Tatum. Now I think those are my 4 most iconic moments. These are kind of people submitted. Leif and a lot of people said that this one. I think the picture is just incredible. The way that Bam's hand is literally in the hoop. I mean, that's just the greatest defensive play in the history of Miami Heat basketball. No doubt about it. It was 2 guys that are peers, right? 2 guys that are, I think, going to measure their careers against each other in a lot of ways. They're 2 rivals. They've played enormous games together. I think they'll probably be remembered as 2 of the best players in their draft. Bam's big moment on the national stage as well. I think that was really kind of that. And that's Bam's, I think, biggest moment of his career.
Yeah.
And by the way, Tatum beat Jimmy. Tatum beat Jimmy. Cardillion is right. Blocked by Bosh might be a bigger that's an interesting one, chat and listeners. Do you think that the Bam block on Tatum or the Bosh block on Danny Green was the bigger defensive play?
I'd say Bosh because it was in the finals. But
this was points, right? Like the shot has to go in. You know, like Bosh blocked and prevented the shot from going off. Which, by the way, that block is amazing because Bosh sniffs out the play. And Bosh aborts his responsibility because he knows what's about to happen. So it was just, these are 2 geniuses.
And man, I'm reminiscing on this era, man. It's just so much like credit to Chris Bosh because he was not a defender really at all in Toronto. And he just got to Miami and just became this masterful, just crazy high IQ defender. And that play right there is like a prime example of it. But this play right here, just everything coming together. With this being Bam's first year with huge responsibility, going against this highly touted guy from his draft, where Bam wasn't even the second best player on his college team. He was third behind Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox. Slow start to begin his career. They were trying to figure out the Hassan Whiteside stuff. And then he gets to this point in the playoffs with everybody watching, with nothing else to do, obviously, because things are shut down. And he gets this play right here. And if you remember the actual live action play, the shit sounded like a gunshot. Like it echoed through the arena, and just like that's for sure this picture right here is gonna be the definition of Bam's career.
I hope so, man. He deserves it, man. It's just, I mean, I can't, we lived it. This wasn't that long ago that we have to be kind of like revisionist on it.
Yeah.
I just love that it's Bam and Tatum who are like peers in their draft class.
Mm-hmm.
That to me makes it so fucking cool that these dudes were in the same draft. I think they're 1 and 2, like probably, right? Like it's between
17.
It's Tatum, Bam, Mitchell, and this year's Lauri Markkanen and De'Aaron Fox as well. You know, Fultz and Lonzo Ball went 1 and 2. Josh Jackson went 4. Jonathan Isaac went 6.
See, and this is not the topic, but stuff like that, these names you listen off, that's why I don't care about the draft or the undrafted stuff, because there's so many draft picks that don't work out.
I mean, Jared Allen went 22nd. You know, Jared Allen went 22nd. You know,
but man, like Josh Jackson, is he even in the league anymore?
No.
That's crazy, man.
Like Frank Ntilikina went 8th. Didn't he just get traded?
I don't know if he just got. No, I think he's still with the Mavs.
Dennis Smith Jr., Zach Collins, Malik Monk, Luke Kennard, Justin Jackson, you know, TJ Wilson. So
the draft is such a gamble, man.
Yeah, it is. So just fucking incredible. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't include the picture from the Dwyane, Chris, and LeBron press conference picture of them holding up the jerseys. Mover81 says Josh Jackson's on the Celtics. We all learned something today. Not much to say. Just the start of one of the most iconic eras in the history of Heat basketball, or the most iconic era, turning point in the NBA. They all look so young.
Yeah, look at Spo with the all black hair.
That's so true. And the oversight. That's when before Spo got in his fitness kick.
Yeah, man.
That suit's way too big for him.
And I know I'm giving stories behind it, but it's just like to look back on looking at how young Spo was.
Yeah. I never noticed that LeBron and Bosh were wearing the same thing, and Dwyane went off script there. That was probably on purpose. That was probably on purpose.
Yeah, it has to be. They got the same tie clip and everything.
Yeah. Like Dwyane was in the middle in every picture. Mm-hmm. Goes to the fucking respect that those guys had for him.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't, right? Deservedly so. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. I had noticed.
Man, just looking at how young Spo was and having this responsibility. And I think it took way too long for him to get the credit he deserves as a coach, because I understand they had all this talent on this team. But to be able to be as young as Spo was with the little experiences he had, his first year was 2 years before this. And just for him to be able to take these egos, LeBron's 25 in his picture. Dwyane's probably 28. Bosh is probably 26, 27.
He played 2 years at Georgia Tech or 1?
Bosh, I think, played 1, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just for Spo to have this responsibility, and because LeBron wasn't really a defender in Cleveland either. People look at the chase down blocks and all that. He wasn't really playing defense like that up there. So for him to get these superstars to buy in as early as he did on the defensive end, and to have things clicking the way they did, he's owed multiple Coach of the Year awards, man.
Absolutely. So We got Kenny told me I got to include the UD one where he's bleeding. Yeah. We're getting into the territory where these pictures are iconic to Heat fans, but I don't think they're like iconic in the grander sense. You know what I mean?
We have one we're going to get to at the end, chat. But this one right here is just, I don't even know if microcosm is the correct term, but this is just Heat culture just in the picture pretty much. This is what the Heat stand for. UD obviously being from Miami, being the torchbearer to what they stand for and just getting bloodied up. And I don't think he even came out of this game, I believe.
He was undrafted before. It was cool.
Yeah, and so I just want to say that really quick about that. Just give UD some credit. And Alex in chat, this is Heat culture personified. That's all I really want to say about this picture.
Just again, the OG, the captain, mi capitan. Not many pre-Dwyane memories, but this picture of morning and the Nick brawl. With Jeff Van Gundy latching onto Alonzo's leg for dear life is not only funny but also just like indicative of that era. Mm-hmm. I think it's important. I think it's the most important part of their history pre Dwyane Wade. Mm-hmm. Timmy's in it, Zoe's in it, Patrick Ewing. Is that Patrick Ewing that's getting
that's Charles Oakley.
That's Charles Oakley.
That's Charles Oakley. But he was going after
Zoe fears no man.
He was going after Larry Johnson, which, man, that right there in itself, I don't think a lot of Heat fans really know how appreciative we should be of this moment right here because if anybody doesn't know, Alonzo Mourning was drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. Larry Johnson was the superstar player there. Larry Johnson got paid first. They couldn't pay Alonzo what they wanted him to because of Larry Johnson's contract. Like Alonzo Mourning disgruntled out there. He wanted to stay, but he started to weigh his options, and then Pat Riley came and scooped him up. The beef is still lingering in these playoff series. A lot of it is Pat leaving the Knicks the way he left the Knicks, and a lot of it is Zoe and Larry Johnson just never resolving their differences. And this right here is just perfect. Everything finally boils over between Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning. Jeff Van Gundy, who was Pat's assistant in New York and running all the same stuff as Pat, and like this. There was so much to this rivalry, and like this, it just all blew up in this moment. And to see Jeff Van Gundy looking like this is just funny in itself. And so this is definitely
hilarious.
Yeah,
and it's fucking Charles Oakley, dude.
Yeah,
it's Charles. That's Zoe trying to that's cool. That's fucking awesome. Those are the people you'd least want to see.
Yeah, and Zoe just had he just had to get off what he wanted to get off.
I think Zoe's block in Game 6 against the Mavs. Mm-hmm. We all know the one.
Yeah,
when he starts spasming,
swarming on him.
Fucking, I love that he got that moment, man.
He had 7 blocks that game, right? Off the bench.
I can't believe they had a center rotation of fucking Shaq and Zoe, and we can't find a big behind Bam that won't throw up on themselves. Holy shit, that team was crazy, bro. GP, Antoine Walker. I mean, I think Antoine Walker was a bit of a punchline, but that dude could ball. The Antoine shimmy, we all know that. Yeah. That team was a fucking mishmash of problematic ass people and Dwyane Wade.
And man, and Pat's being Pat, that trade going into that year is probably, aside from the Zoe and Tim moves, that's probably Pat's best thing, because I think people bring up the size of the trade and think there was this huge risk the Heat took. The Heat gave away Eddie Jones, who was kind of over the hill. They gave up Andre Emmett, I believe. Boy. I love Eddie Jones. But yeah, he was getting older at that point. He may have played 2 more years after that. And they gave up Andre Emmett or something like that. You got all these other teams involved. And Jason Williams, he had overstayed his welcome in Memphis. They just wanted to get rid of him. Antoine Walker was still beefing with the Celtics front office from the first time they traded him, and they ended up bringing him back. It wasn't a good idea. James Posey's just severely underrated as a 3-and-D guy. And Pat gets that done, and they end up winning the championship that first year. Now, the second year,
what happens when you're awake, bro?
Second year with that team together, we don't acknowledge. But that first, that was a Pat Riley.
That second year is the worst case scenario that
that's
everybody
Walker
feared.
was drunk. It was a lot going on.
Bro, those guys won their one and that was it. Those guys won their one and that was it.
Oh, man,
I think Shaq was happy that he had one more than Kobe. GP got the one he wanted. Antoine got the one he wanted. They all got the one they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dwyane got hurt.
I think there was a lot going on with that team, man.
That was fucking funny. We have the Ray Allen shot. Now I have two here.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Ray Allen shot, I have two pictures. By the way, I love the all white, the white hot. It just looks good. It makes everything feel important. It's the best. I don't know which one. I don't know which one I'd pick, Kenny. I don't know which of the two pictures.
The other one. Go back to
this one.
Yeah, it's that one. That's the one in Championship Alley. So
the long wide angle where it's just like the whole crowd. Dwyane having his arms up. Bosh, kind of watching.
Yeah. LeBron having his arm up. Bosh fresh off of his rebound, which he shouldn't have gotten. That's a crazy rebound. I think it's this one. You see the crowd in the background, the anticipation on everybody's faces. I think it's this one.
Somebody points out that Cartoliano's LeBron's asking for the ball. Truly, I don't think he is, but if he was, it'd be like the funny culmination of the damn Thomas Bryant thing.
I'm looking at Sir John Card's comment about the fans who quote unquote left early, and that still gets brought up today. And so credit to that because it's a full crowd as you can see, and if you look at the clip. 30 people left that game early. It just gets way overblown.
Because people hate us.
Yeah.
People hate the city. I think, today there was some discourse on Bam's DPOY candidacy and how he's too much of an offensive player nowadays. It's just they're giving Robert Williams a nod because he has no bag. And it's like, come on, bro.
Oh, and by the way, I said that was gonna be the case. I thought people were just gonna not consider Bam a defender anymore because he's so good offensively. But I didn't think anybody would be that dumb to say it out loud. This is a little insane to me.
That's where we are, bro. With this picture, though, Kenny.
Yeah,
I think it's more the moment than the picture. I think when 100%. Those other things, I think of the picture. I think of Dwyane at the scores table. I think of Jimmy, right? The LeBron look. Those are things I conjure in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of this picture. I think of the thing in motion. I think of Allen's shot. I think of Mike Breen's call. Rebound Bosh back out to Allen. His 3-pointer, bang, tie game with 5 seconds. I think of that, right? Mm-hmm. I think of that. I even think of the memes, right? Or whatever. Right? I think of just Ray Allen saying, "Get those motherfucking ropes out of here." The most... This fucking badass. I think of how incredible it is that Kawhi Leonard is closing out on him, and before we knew what that man was going to become, right? The fucking star power here. I mean, there were 4 Hall of Famers on the Heat, and then you had fucking 4 Hall of Famers on the Spurs. It was the highest level of basketball to this day I've ever seen played in a series. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
there has been nothing to the level of coaching adjustments. That was Spo's. I think Spo's 2 best coaching series are this one and the Laker loss.
Yeah.
Because Spo and Jimmy were making water out of wine out of water. It was crazy. The way that if you remember, Kenny, every game this series, it swung violently because coaches were making adjustments every fucking game. And they were playing real chess in real fucking time.
And man, again, to give the credit and to give the context, Spo is in his 5th year at this point as a head coach, and he's doing this going toe-to-toe with Greg Popovich. And he wins the series.
Against, like you said, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Kawhi fucking Leonard, right? And it's just, there's not much more to say. But again, I think of the moment. I think of the moment, not the picture for either of these shots.
Mm-hmm.
I had to include middle finger lady and Joakim Noah. I think this should be in Championship Alley. I think that woman giving Joakim Noah the middle finger with her hedge fund boyfriend. I think that has to count for something.
And you know what's funny about this?
The security guard wants to laugh.
That's funny, and I'm willing to bet Joe Kim probably didn't even do anything in this moment. Oh no, he got ejected. I think this game
he got ejected. He said that he didn't even notice at the time. I believe him.
He's not looking at her, but
I believe that when you get ejected and when your team's losing a game like that, I think you're just like you're ignoring the fans, especially like a woman, because you're not gonna threaten to fight her, right? Like some guys do with men or in the crowd. So I love that picture. It's funny. It's very Miami. And then our last one, I have two more actors, but these are more personal things. But I know that Kenny and I want to talk about the pep rally, the Wade, LeBron, and this really just became half an hour of trip down Heat memory lane. Which, listen,
hey, going to the All-Star weekend. You know,
we're going into All-Star weekend. Not much to talk about. We've, whatever, they're going into Brooklyn and like half their team is unhealthy, and Duncan may come back. Like, I don't know. Like, we'll see. Did we even talk about Duncan?
No.
Whatever. He may come back. He's questionable. Like, hopefully, whatever. They get a guard and, the alpha agenda's back. But, this season listen, let's not lie. This season's not been fun for a lot of people, us included. There's nothing fun about not hitting expectations. So let's talk about some shit that did hit expectations. Like this pep rally, Kenny.
Yeah. So, this is when I stopped watching, and I haven't watched ESPN or any of those shows since, because I was at this event. So the decision was 2 days before my 18th birthday. I think this might have landed on my 18th birthday. So my friend Chris went to this. Some context for anybody who may not be a Heat fan, because I told you we should clip this. So some context behind this event, right? This is not the first time the Heat did something like this. If you remember the iconic image of Shaq pulling up in a diesel truck and shooting out out of a super soaker into the crowd, same event. They just held his outside. But what happened with this is the Heat sent out a press release or emails or whatever it was at the time saying, hey, Heat fans, we're introducing, because also more context.
This was free too.
Yeah, it was absolutely free. And the We Want Wade campaign was also this year. We thought we were losing Dwyane Wade. So he comes back with the announcement on ESPN with Chris Bosh, and then LeBron has a decision. The Heat sends out a quick press release like, hey, we're going to print out these tickets, come to the arena, come in, we're going to celebrate this acquisition. Again, this is the second time he's done something like this. They did it with Shaq before. But so anyway, me and my friend Chris go in there. DJ Ari has an hour-long set or something crazy like that, but he has the place electric. Like, DJ Ari is a great DJ. And so then after that, quick intermission, not even really, but then they introduce the players. Now, this right here, this is the image that gets played over and over, them like posing and high-fiving fans and like getting all this hate from everybody because of that. But you only see this because that's all they did. This is an introduction, and they sat down. They got interviewed by Jason Jackson,
Eric Reed,
Jason Jackson, and Eric Reed. And so one of the questions, this is important because remember, hour-long DJ Ari set, he has the crowd going insane off the music he's playing, the mixes and all that stuff. It's the electricity through the roof. So one of the questions he asks is, where do you see this team going? This is what gets left out of this, right? The crowd. So LeBron answers this question, and I feel like whatever the potential is, we can win championships. Not one, crowd goes crazy. Not two, crowd gets louder. Not three. Like, he wasn't promising he wasn't promising 7 championships on a 4-year deal. It was just crowd control. And I think that just got blown way out of proportion. I don't think any of us in the building really thought he was really promising those championships.
I did, man. I was like, that's not a promise. That's a fucking threat.
Just me being there, it felt like crowd control to me, and it worked. We were fucking hyped off that.
Kenny, I don't give a shit. That was for us. That wasn't for the nation. That was for us. We fucking did it. We got the best fucking player in the world. You don't think that this city, we will fucking throw a party because someone gets a new haircut? You think we need an excuse to party? We got fucking LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwyane Wade. You don't think we're going to party? On a weeknight? This is on a weeknight.
It was. And I want to reiterate again, it's not
Kenny
the first
had
time.
School the next day. You were in high school.
Well, I was freshman year in college.
Oh,
but this is again, it's not the first time they did this. They threw a similar thing for Shaq, and this was on at the time Sun Sports. To the press release, the Heat fans, this was not
Sun Sports.
Yeah, obviously the nation picked it up, but it wasn't this.
You know why the nation picked it up, Kenny? Because it was interesting. Because people were interested in what the this had never been seen before.
It just gets thrown so out of
run the point night. One lucky fan gets to run the point.
It's just like it just got so misconstrued and all this stuff. It's just like it was not meant to be what people made it out to be. Like, why is Skip Bayless saying LeBron's looking for attention? What is Skip Bayless? Nobody's listening to what he says, but they weren't looking for attention off this. They just wanted to celebrate with Heat fans.
Kenny. That was for the fans only that love that team, and they were the only ones that love that team. And everybody else can go fuck off because we love that team. We loved it. Hit me with it again. So that was our little trip down Heat memory lane. Somebody just says I'm happy Bally's failing for bankruptcy. Don't be happy. I don't want people to lose their jobs. Although Bally needs to step up. But I have a couple more. No, I didn't have them in my slideshow, so I'll just I'll do this. I'll do this one the old-fashioned way. So I have two here. That picture goes hard, Kenny.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is Wade. This is
Oh shit! That's the scammer guy in the background who was on the second.
Ben Shapiro. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Nevin Shapiro, not Ben Shapiro. Wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, both shitty. Both shitty. So for chat for pod audience, this is Dwyane in 2006. Coming back the other end, you can see the yellow ropes on the floor. Get those fucking ropes out of here. The Ray Allen ropes, right? That they do when they're ready to win a title. This was game 3. This was game 4. I don't remember what game this was. But Dwyane's kind of walking back, and it's after another incredible Dwyane game. And Riley and Dwyane kind of, give each other 5. It just goes. It's just hard, man. It's just. What a great! I have goosebumps. Like arguably the 2 most important figures in Heat history.
Yeah.
They're just incredible.
And again, Jason Capono in the background. I got a point here about that dude was insane when he was in Miami.
And then we have this could have been this picture of Jimmy pulling up for 3 on the Celtics in Game 7 at home. This could have been one of the most iconic shots. This would have been the Ray Allen shot, right?
Yeah.
Like it would have been, a game walk-off winning shot. And Cardiliano's like, it hurt. It hurts me too. I think this and the Dallas Mavericks loss in 2011 were the 2 most painful sports experiences of my life. I do want to ask, what is Jaylen Brown doing?
Oh, I have no idea.
Is he arguing with Deadman? That's the only defense Deadman's played in the last year. What is Jaylen Brown? It's Oladipo just that much of a non-shooter that Jalen's like, is he just going to rebound? Like, what's going on?
But man, I felt like this shot was going to go in.
Chat's right. Sir John Card says Horford looks scared. Hell yeah. I'd be.
And
you wouldn't be scared too? Why is Tatum not looking up? What is they don't deserve this.
Yeah.
That would have been, it's painful. Look at the crowd. That lady in the dress courtside by under the baskets, like fucking gasping for breath. Like, this guy's gonna man. What a mood.
Wait, is that a Miami Heat number 23 jersey? What the fuck?
Where?
Next to the lady in the dress?
Yeah, who is that?
Custom jerseys bother me, I'll say it.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
They bother me.
They're corny.
Yeah.
They're corny as hell. So I don't know, guys. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
I don't want chat sitting here being like, Jimmy, man, I don't care. Jimmy could take whatever he wants. Yeah. That hurt me. I still support that shot. But listen, trip down memory lane, kind of going through the most iconic Heat moments of all time. The most iconic pictures of really, Kenny, at this point, one of the flagship franchises of this league.
No question.
One of, you travel anywhere around the world. There are people in Heat shirts and Heat jerseys, all over Europe, in Japan, Mexico, wherever I've had the privilege of traveling to. Mm-hmm. There's always, Eric, it's corny, and Eric Reed says Heat Nation is far and wide, but it's true. this team has captured the imagination and the heart of many people. They're an incredible franchise who have won 3 titles in the last the last 15 years.
Yeah, they've only missed the playoffs if I'm not mistaken 6 times in the last 28 years.
2 of those were Dion. It's crazy. The level of consistency from an expansion organization is second to none. And I know that it was a really long show. In reality, it could have been an off season or an all-star break pod, but I don't know. I had fun, Kenny.
I had fun.
Don't know about it something we had to talk about, and love sharing it with you guys, chat. We'll be on Hangover Time tomorrow. Hots tomorrow against the Brooklyn Nets. Duncan's return. Hopefully, Duncan is questionable. That's not doubtful. That's questionable.
Yeah,
so
he did travel, so that's important.
He did. He's the only one who traveled. Depot, Duncan, Tyler, all those dudes didn't travel. So check out Hangover Time pregame and before that, and we got you our last game before All-Star break. So then we'll be off for a bit. So enjoy our coverage. We love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, let's go Heat.